Shalom. I want to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Baruch HaKodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone who rule well. And as always, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And this lesson is inspired by a statement that I want to key in on that was stated by the elder apostle Ramlab during a live stream that he did earlier. And I have it up on the screen. The title of the lesson is called Under the Radar. And when he made the statement, that resonated because, those of us brothers that are in this ministry, we could relate to how, we have our moments when, we're on fire, we're doing our utmost, and it seemed like, you on fire and you're doing everything that you're supposed to do. But then you also have your moments when, you're not really in the spirit. You have your moments sometimes when, Satan attacks you and you get a little weak. But basically what it demonstrates for us is that we're still just men at the end of the day. We're still in the flesh. So we're going to have moments and times, where, you're not going to always be, on fire, so to speak. You're not going to always, have the spirit upon you. You're going to have your moments where, you might, get a little fearful, because you might be afraid of, slacking because you're trying to strive for the mastery, but you're in the flesh. So real quick, let's take a listen to what the elder apostle said, and then I kind of want to, land back off of it and do a lesson. So Lord willing, you brothers and you few sisters are edified. So let me play it real quick.
Getting into his men is what gives them the spirit to resist and to be bold. Otherwise, it's going to be of none effect. Because sometimes you had great men, great prophets that did great miracles, and even they faltered at times. Elijah, he called fire from heaven. He mocked the prophets of Baal. I don't know if it was 400 or 250. I forget the number. And he was mocking them. Yeah, go ahead, call on your God. Maybe he's on a long journey. Maybe he's sleeping. And then he told him put water on, just keep pouring water on his sacrifice. And then when he called to the Lord, fire came down, boom. And not too long after that, when Jezebel was calling to kill the prophets, he got nervous, he got scared. He lost faith at that moment. But that just goes to show that he was still a man. So at that moment, the Spirit of the Lord wasn't upon him. But nevertheless, even Peter denied the Lord. He got scared during that whole time. But that was all to show that we are still in the flesh. But overall, those men will be taken care of. So if the Spirit of the Lord is not there, then there's no boldness. Even the Apostle Paul said, pray for me that a door of utterance may be opened unto me, and that I may speak boldly what I ought to speak. So it's not always you're going to be in that spirit, but when it counts, that's when the Lord is going to do that. And all of these things are written in the scriptures, even when it said that Yahweh Shai feared and that he was nervous and that he cried to the Father, that he was sweating blood, that was all written so that we can be comforted when we go through those situations, because you're going to have your highs in the faith, you're going to have your lows in the faith.
And that's basically, what inspired me to, come with this lesson. All right. And like he said, yeah, you've had great men that did great things, men of the Lord. But even great men have faltered. They had their high points and they also had their low points. And that's why the apostles always tell brothers, don't look at these men as if they're not, men. All right. Because it's not of us, this work that we do, we constantly, feeding, brothers and sisters through the spirit is never of us. As a matter of fact, let me get that real quick. And that's why we got to be, we got to remain humble because it's ultimately it's the spirit of the Lord. All right. This is 2 Corinthians 4:7. It says, let me see. I'll start at verse 5. It says, "For we preach not ourselves, but Yahushua Mashiach, the Lord, and ourselves your servants for Yahushua's sake. For the Most High, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of the Most High in the face of Yahushua Mashiach. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us." So we always give the credit and praise back to the Heavenly Father. All right. He just uses us. But at times, because we're in the flesh, we're just earthen vessels, we do get our moments of weakness. Sometimes we might fall short of the glory. But what does it say in Proverbs? I forget which chapter. I believe it's in Proverbs, the 24th chapter. A just man falleth 7 times, but he gets back up. All right. And it's through the strength of Yahweh Shai, which strengthens us. Paul said that, you know, and that's why we always have to remain humble. All right. And let's get a couple examples of great men, men of faith, men of honor that had moments where, they displayed a little doubt, a little, weakness, let me get, let's start with Abraham real quick. Let's go to Genesis, the 15th chapter. There's Genesis 15, and I'll start at 1. It says, "After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram, before he was known as Abraham, in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram," which means exalted father. "I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward." And Abram said, "Lord power, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus?" And Abram said, "Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir." And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, "This shall not be thine heir, but he shall come forth out of thine own bowels, shall be thine heir." And he brought him forth abroad and said, "Look now toward heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them." And he said unto him, "So shall thy seed be." So he's been, promised in his vision that, the Lord's getting ready to, bless him with, a great multitude that's going to come through his loins, his bowels. And this is, he didn't even have, seed yet. So right here, he's a little perplexed because he's like, how is this going to happen? So basically, he needed, a confirmation. He needed, a sign. I need to see this. You know, this is from Abraham, a man that whose faith was counted for righteousness. Right? It says, "And he believed in the Lord and counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee this land to inherit it." And he said, "Lord power, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it?" So how shall I know this? So he's questioning the Most High. You know, he's actually questioning him, like, how shall I know this? So a person would, you know, just detecting that, damn, is he have faith? But no, sometimes, men get in the flesh, you know, it happens. But the Lord still ultimately, you know, uses these men and still put that spirit upon them to, persevere. All right. And then, after that, this is what the Lord, pretty much did. He he pretty much, told him to, all right, well, here, I'm gonna prove it to you. Do this experiment for me, and that'll be your sign. This is verse 9. It says, and he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of darkness, great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. So in this vision, he's basically being told that you're gonna have a seed after you. All right, that's gonna basically grow into a multitude of people, and they're gonna be in a strange land, and they're gonna be in captivity. They're gonna be afflicted, and we all know that this is talking about the Israelites are being afflicted in Egypt for 400 years. So this was the vision that he had to show Abram to confirm to him that he is going to have that seed. All right. So let me jump down, and this is at the end of the vision. Verse 17, it says, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the river, the great river, the river Euphrates. Okay. So, that's just one example, where Abraham was questioning the Lord. But that didn't mean that, he wasn't a man of faith and he wasn't a friend of the Most High. We just men, so sometimes we gonna be, certain things are gonna happen that way because we're in the flesh. See? So anyway, let's go to another example. Let's deal with Gideon. We know Gideon was a straight up warrior, but he even needed confirmation if the Lord was gonna be with him to deliver, the what was it, the Ammonites or the Midianites, who they were getting ready to go up against. He needed confirmation that they were going to win that battle. So he wasn't too sure. Yep, it was the Midianites and the Amalekites. So anyway, this is Judges 6:36, and it says, and Gideon said unto the powers, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai powers, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor. And if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. So he needed, a sign too. He needed, because he's in the flesh. So it looked like he had, he had a weaker faith. You see, King David really didn't need anything when he went up against Goliath. So this was a sign of weakness right here from Gideon, even though the Lord still ended up using Gideon to, take down our enemies. It says, and it was so, yeah, it's like, yeah, and it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow and thrust the fleece together and wringed the dew out of the fleece in a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto the powers, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry, only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And the Most High powers did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. And the Lord basically gave him the confirmation. All right. So, that happens every once in a while. Men having their high moments and they have their low moments. They have their moments where they're, get weak, They start to doubt a little bit, but then the Lord strengthens them. You see? So it happens, man, because we're just men at the end of the day. Even Apostle Paul, when when he came to the church, he had a certain anxiety because he didn't really want to, because he was placed with a high level responsibility. So he didn't want to do anything that would cause him to be a castaway. All right, let's go. Let's get First Corinthians 2, and basically he had to rely upon the Spirit to carry him throughout the whole ministry. Because if it was just in the flesh, Paul would have, he would have broke, because that man went through a lot. If it wasn't for the Spirit that was upon him, he would have been broken, man. All right. This is First Corinthians 2:1. It says, "And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of the Most High power." Right now, hey, some of us brothers, when we even do lessons, when we go out there and speak, we just let the Spirit, give us the utterance, man. Because a lot of the times, sometimes we might be unsure of what we're gonna go into, what we're gonna bring out, or what we're gonna speak. But then the Spirit just hits you. And also, I know I'm not the most literate guy. Y'all can tell by how I speak sometimes. I stutter sometimes. I'm not always super articulate. But then the Spirit just uses me, and I still will, break certain things down anyway because it's the Spirit. All right. The average person would according to the wisdom of this world, they would critique how I speak when I make these videos. Oh, he talks in circles sometimes, or he stutters a lot, or he uses filler. You know, he says a lot. Wait, I'm even Apostle Paul said in his very same chapter, or I think it was the previous chapter, the Lord will use the foolish to confound the wise, man. Because it's not about the wisdom of this world or how much wisdom you have. Ultimately, it's about the Spirit. It says, verse 2, "For I determined not to know anything among you save Yahushua Mashiach and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling." So he even admits to them that, when he was with them, he had a little, tremble. He was a little anxious. As a matter of fact, when you look up that word trembling, which is the same word, when he says to the church of Philippi, seek out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And when you look up trembling, I believe the word is tramas. Yep, tramas. And when you read the definition, it says a trembling or quaking with fear and trembling used to describe the anxiety of one who distrusts his ability completely to meet all requirements, but religiously does his utmost to fulfill his duty. You see? And that gets on us at times because we're in the flesh. We get a little anxiety like, damn, man, I hope I'm, doing enough. I hope I didn't go off in this in the video. I hope I didn't say nothing wrong. I hope I didn't offend nobody. You see? And that spirit gets upon us, man. But that it does it puts us in check, really, because it keeps us humble. You see? So this is another example. Let me get I'll read one more verse. It says, "And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power." And that's what it boils down to, man. It's through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right? And that's why even in the time to come, we're going to definitely need that same Spirit and the power to actually get through. You know, to fight Satan in his attempts. You know, the persecution. You know, the wiles that the devil is coming with, the fiery darts of the wicked. We can't act like, you know, we're gonna be in Superman mode the entire time, man. Because not even the Lord did when it came time for him to go through his trial. He had the comforter. You know, the angel came and had to, you know, give comfort to the Lord. So how much more us, you know, in his wretched flesh, man. You know, Peter had got weak and he you know, denied the Lord thrice. So, you know, what I'm saying is, you know, don't look at us, you know, higher than, you know, what we are. You know, we're still vessels, you know, and anything that we do is through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. And we're gonna definitely need more, you know, we're gonna need to be increased with more strength, you know, more faith, and definitely we're gonna need the spirit to undergo the times that we're coming into. Okay, because it happens, man. All right, let me get another one because I believe Apostle Paul said his strength is made perfect through weakness. You even had Hezekiah, you know, when it came down, you know, from prophet Isaiah that he was getting ready to die, and then you know, Hezekiah, all the righteous things that he did, he felt weak. You know, he cried out to the Lord, and you know, he ended up asking Isaiah, give me a sign. You know, what is a sign that I'll actually, you know, be able to live, you know, a little longer? Because he went out and prayed, and the Lord gave him an extra 15 years. So he asked, you know, through prophet Isaiah, you know, what will be the sign that confirms that I'm gonna live, you know, a bit longer? And Isaiah basically, you know, told him, which you know was the Most High speaking through Isaiah. You know, so even he got weak too. This is 2 Corinthians 12. It is 2 Corinthians 12 and verse 5. It says, of such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I should not be a fool. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seemeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. So the Lord, you know, does these things to keep us humble, to keep us from, you know, exalting ourselves. Because unlike certain men, you know, who's been exalted, who gets a lot of praise from men, now the Lord is starting to visit them. All right, and y'all know who I'm talking about. You got one guy, you know, he leads, I would say, millions of Israelites. Very big congregation, and it's global, just like we're global. But you look at this guy, you know, his recent videos, he looks like he's deteriorating, and he's still proud, you know. And then you got another guy who's members of his congregation is getting played. Guys bugging out, getting put, you know, putting, you know, committing suicide and all type of stuff. Because those dudes, they they're not humble, you know. They've exalted themselves. So now the Lord is starting to you know, humble them, but they still not, you know, I don't think they're getting the memo. So the Lord might do some more extra things to scare them into submission, or they're gonna continue to be proud until the Lord finally make an example out of them. Because we can't be proud in this thing. And plus, yeah, the Day of Atonement is coming in as well. tomorrow evening. And there's a certain spirit you got to be in coming into that. We got to humble ourselves before the Lord, man. Because we all are, being in this flesh, the Lord can dispose of all of us, man. But, the water to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, he granted us that mercy by the grace we have, by way of Yahweh Shai and his sacrifice, man. You know? So continuing on, it says, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice that it might depart from me. It was basically a demon, a spirit that was, attacking Paul, and it was making him sick. It says, and he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I glory. I will rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Hamashiach may rest upon me. All right. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches and necessities and persecutions and distresses for Hamashiach's sake. For when I am it's like when I am weak, then am I strong. Okay, your strength start to build from your pain and your weaknesses, man. Okay, so the Lord is he's building us up, so we have those moments, man, and we learn from it. Okay, and eventually, the men of the Lord, they still persevere. The Lord still gets them through. All right, and we're gonna have to cry out to him. That's what the Lord is expecting. Hey, you better, you know, make me feel like you really need me. And that's when the Lord responds to us, man. So, going back to what the apostle said, man, that was spot on. That even, men of the Lord have their moments because we're just in the flesh. And that's why we should never really boast. And, those of us that make it through this thing, just know that it was not of yourself. It was of the spirit and power and of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai and the gift of faith that he bestowed upon us. All right. And there's other examples that, I could have brought out, but, I believe the point was already made. And hopefully this was edifying. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And to the next lesson, I say, Shalom.